Hello? Can you guys hear me? I see people typing. Yay, I think we're good. Thank you guys. I am so sorry. The internet has totally been on the fritz here. Jane, hi. So good to see you here. So I may turn off my camera. Um I'm afraid we may have lost some people because of we had about 50 people register for this, but because it was late, I've been scrambling. Hi, Adriana. Um, so I'm going, yeah, so we have a small group tonight, and maybe there are people that can join us. I'm going to hop over to Twitter and apologize to the internet for being late. But thank you guys for sticking around um, and for joining me tonight. I wanted to host this webinar just as a brief way to answer any questions and see you guys in person and just answer any questions anybody has about the course. We've had a ton of people email in. I think I've probably answered 300 emails in the past couple of days. So it's just been absolutely amazing to do this. So thank you again. And what questions do I guess the last webinar I hosted, somebody asked me what I did before this, and I thought, oh, you know, I should have introduced myself. So if this is the first time we're meeting, hi, I'm Whitney English, and I am an entrepreneur. I owned a stationery company for 10 years before it closed. That was not the most fun experience, but it definitely was educational. And after that happened, I kind of decided I wanted to help. You know, you go through something that's painful, and sometimes it makes you want to turn around and help other people not have to go through that same kind of thing. And I really found myself in that position, and I started doing some small business consulting, and really couldn't figure out what I wanted to look like. But I knew I wanted to help a lot of people, and so this Biz Designers course is sort of the byproduct of that. This is my way of saying, okay, how can I help as many people as possible at one time? You know, what kind of information do they need? How do I get in touch with them? How do I transfer this information so that it helps the largest number of people I possibly can? And this is the first time we've launched it. So I did a little course last year that really was less of a course and more of a mastermind group. We had about 30 people, a little bit under 30 people in that. And that was a very good, that taught me a lot about what I wanted this course to look like. And so Biz Designers is actually a little bit of an evolution of that experience that I launched last year. And I have some folks from that that class that have also sort of been grandfathered into this. So you all might meet some of them during the course if you decide to join us. But what questions can I answer, and what can I tell you guys about the course? And if any of you have already registered for the course, I'm happy to speak to anything about that as well. But does anybody have anything specific, or do you want me to just kind of walk through it, talk about everything from A to Z? You guys tell me what questions you have or what you'd like me to talk about. Jane is typing. So just to give everybody kind of a brief overview of the course, I see a couple people are typing. In the last, okay, Adriana, and not a business owner yet. Okay, that's good. So in the last webinar, I briefly kind of talked about how as business owners, or as Adriana says, not a business owner yet, but it's just something that you feel like you want. I'm all about that, and I think that most of the people that are in this course, or even interested in this course, have that feeling, that calling of there's something great that you were meant to do, and it feels slightly bigger than you are, maybe, and just where do you start? And the simple answer to that challenge and that place in life is that you need a plan. We talked about that in the last webinar, and we talked about the elements of a plan, and we sort of related, and we're going to do this in the course as well, but I relate it to the concept of building a house. So when you build a house, the first thing you have to have is a floor plan. And that's the whole concept of the course, is how do we put a solid plan in place that's going to help you create a business and build a strong, sustainable, and profitable business. I talk a lot about sustainability and profitability because those two things became my focus after my last business failed. And the emphasis that I place on those now has definitely made a shift. I mean, it's definitely changed my business for the better. And that's something that I can, talk more about here, or we can definitely talk about it in the course as well. But in the last webinar, also we talked about after you have a floor plan, you need a foundation, you need a strong foundation. So in the course, that's where we're going to start, is in Module 1, talking about a strong foundation. That's a process I go through every year, just kind of revamping and rehashing, because it really drives a lot of marketing and messaging and branding and communications and things like that. So that's Module 1. And then in Module 2, we talk about framework. And this is really an interesting module because I take into account the fact that we have a wide variety of entrepreneurs in this group. We've have a couple of clothing business owners that have joined us. We have photographers, they're bakers from all over the United States. We have several people who are joining us internationally, which really surprised me. And I'm happy to hear more about their businesses and help them figure out what we can do to grow their business. But we're in Module 2, we're looking at entrepreneurship from a very high level perspective, and we're saying, okay, what are the 4 main types of entrepreneurial personalities are out there? Research done that talks about how entrepreneurs typically operate in one of 4 specific areas. So we're going to help you figure out which one of those areas is your strength, and then we're going to look at what kind of product you want to sell, whether it's a physical product or an information product, which is an intangible product, or a service. And then from there, we sort of investigate archetypes and different types of entrepreneurs, and you'll start to figure out where you fit in, and that'll tell you what kind of business model you need to build. So that'll be very in-depth, and I'm really excited about that. And then in Module 3, we're going to go back to systems, and we talked about this in some of the preliminary videos that I recorded. But this module, I'm really excited. We're going to have a lot of interviews from experts in each of these different systems, different coaches who actually coach people in these systems. A lot of people have asked, are we going to talk about website stuff? Definitely. I'm going to try to have people speak on WordPress systems, Squarespace systems. We're going to get experts on that. And then a new system that I'm using that I've been really impressed with. We've been in touch with that company. We're trying to get somebody at a pretty high level to come and speak to us about that. So all of that will be recorded, and there'll be a chance for, as you start to work through the modules, for you to say, this is a question I want this person to answer. And so really looking forward to that. That'll also be a part of the course that will grow, and we'll start categorizing things into each of the different 7 interviews. So once you're a part of the course, you're a part of the course forever. You don't ever have to resubscribe. As we relaunch the course over time, we'll add content to it, and you'll be privy to the benefits of that. Just technology is always evolving and changing, and it's such a major part of all of our businesses right now. The fourth module is all about branding. So that's the model about, we call it the finishing touches. We put this at the end of the course because even though your brand is a really important part of your business, I think in creative entrepreneurship we're way too drawn to that, and I wanted to. It's very important, but I wanted to proceed around that topic and that content with a word of caution and make sure that we have the right framework and systems in place before we dive into what things look like. But we've got a great brand audit for everybody to use to analyze their brand and figure out what touch points and where in the customer experience they need to improve. And then the final module is, I saw that Jane asked about social media. The final module is really going to be a lot of little, it's called final checklist, but it's just rich with tips and tricks and information. And I say tips and tricks like it's, I don't really even like that terminology for that. This is in-depth information about, a lot of times people ask me, how did I grow my social media audience? And there's one video in there where I sat down in front of the camera and I just recorded it, and I've never really talked about that anywhere else. So the final module it's final checklist, and it's just going to be different lists and different things and techniques that you can try to apply to your business for strategy. Sylvia, we actually anticipate probably over 200 participants, maybe around 250. We have extended the registration, and we'll actually be closing it tomorrow night. So Module 1 is going to be released tomorrow morning. And so anybody who registers tomorrow will get immediate access to that. So 250 people. It's gonna be good. There are forums. I see Adriana asked that question. They're already really hopping, and everybody's over there introducing themselves, and it's great energy, and people are connecting, and it looks like it's gonna be a good group. One thing that we're doing in the forums, Adriana, is in one of the preliminary videos, I talked about what stage of business that you're in, and we have a stage for people. We have a forum for people at level 1, and so I really wanted this forum. It's not private. We can make it private if that makes people feel more comfortable. I really want it to be a place where people feel safe. But I want this to be a place where somebody can, say, hey, Whitney, you just talked about lead generation in that email. What does lead generation mean? Like, tell me what that means in not big, fancy marketing terms. And I really want the forums to be a safe place for people to be able to ask those questions. We do have entrepreneurs at all levels. There are people who have not gotten started yet, and there are people who are running really good businesses. Like, Jane, is Jane Geller, who's on the call with us, is a good friend of mine, and her business is really good, really well run, and in a good place. So we've got people like that in the course as well. And I'm just really excited to have a broad spectrum. I was thinking tonight, as I was looking at some of the Facebook group updates today, one mistake I think creative entrepreneurs make is that they think I'm not saying everybody does this, but people think, oh, I don't need to pay for that course, or I don't need, I'll just join all these free Facebook groups and I'll get all the information I need there. And in all humility, I'm looking at some of these posts, I'm thinking, this is not where the information is. This, like, the information that you need to run a business is deep into courses that experts are teaching that cost thousands of dollars. And one thing that I've tried to do is kind of consolidate a lot of what I've learned over the years from going to different workshops and different courses. And by no means can I ever come close to, duplicating one of those courses or even covering all the content in it. Would never want to do that, obviously, for integrity reasons as well. But the things that I learned that were game changers for me, the lessons that I learned that became almost operating principles for me. How do I make business decisions? Which I told you guys, we look at profitability and sustainability a lot, and I talk about that throughout the course. But all of that information that I've learned over the years is what I've tried to condense into this, so that if someone says, I'm just really curious about how Whitney does everything, I have done as best as I possibly can to squeeze every single bit of that information into this course, and I'm definitely going to be on hand to answer all those questions. So Sylvia, back to your questions about how many participants will you be having. There are going to be a lot, but for the next 6 weeks, this is my primary focus. If you guys do decide to join the course, and I'd love to have you, you will get emails from me at odd hours, because my brain is going to be with the attendees of this course, trying to do everything I can to help them in the next 6 weeks. So I'm really excited about that. Sylvia says, I'm tired of trying to consolidate all of that information from all those different places. I'm very excited that you're here, and I really think there'll be a lot of direction. One of the things I hope I can do is for people is, just in the forums, hear about where people are struggling. There was somebody who posted in the forums yesterday that she was trying to figure out how to help her brick and mortar antiques business be known. And there were a few of us that kind of popped up and started talking about, how she could use Instagram. And even though she's a local brick and mortar shop, different things that she can do to bring herself national exposure. I see that as a mistake that brick and mortar shops make, is they think, I'm from Oklahoma, so an antiques dealer here might say, well, I only live in Oklahoma City. Why do I need to, create an Instagram account and build a national brand? Well, the reason why you would want to do that as a brick and mortar shop is because you want the credibility and experience that being a national brand is going to bring you locally. So there's a great brand that we threw out as an example on Instagram called Parker Kennedy Living, and we, myself and a couple of other members, were talking, just kind of trying to work with her and strategize through that problem. So, I'm really hoping that the forums can be a place like that, where somebody can say, I'm stuck with this, and we can just kind of jump in and help them. And excuse me, I need a drink of water. What other questions do you guys have? It's definitely also going to be a course where there's pre-recorded content. The first module is 7 videos, and the videos aren't long. I mean, everything in module 1 is under 10 minutes. And we recorded all this 3 or 4 weeks ago. But as people have questions, or if I need to go back and re-record something or clarify something like that, I'm definitely going to be in there walking through the experience with you guys, with the students, and with the course members, and definitely working to help people understand as much as I can. So I'm excited about that. How are the forum chats different from the mastermind groups? That's a great question. So the mastermind groups are going to, we're recommending Google Hangouts. The mastermind groups are going to be small. We were initially thinking less than 10 people in a group. Now we're thinking about 5 people in a group. Definitely, if you're thinking about a mastermind level, it's going to be three meetings, and I've got a little coaching for people who do the mastermind levels. There are a couple things that make a mastermind work. One of them is commitment, just showing up when you say you're going to show up, barring all technical difficulties, of course. And the second thing that really makes the mastermind group work is being present. And so we strongly recommend that, when you're on your mastermind call, turn off your phones and be present for the people that are in your group. And we have a format that I've actually used in a mastermind that here in Oklahoma City that I've been a member of for 10 years. It's evolved over time. We've got different women. It's a all-female mastermind group. And this is actually not an all-female course, interesting. I don't think we've had any guys register, but the content definitely wasn't structured. I think one gal emailed me and she's like, my husband really wants to take your course. I was like, he totally can. Like, I think we might all be female on this call, but anyway, this mastermind group I'm in Oklahoma City has been all women, and we've used this format consistently. It takes some dedication. There's times when people can talk and can't talk, and there's some rules and stuff. It's not hard to follow, but I've got guidelines and a little workbook that you'll have for each of your mastermind calls. And I'm really excited about that component. I haven't seen a format like the mastermind format that we're going to be using online ever. Haven't ever seen it. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means I don't know about it. It's not just people getting on a Google Hangout and just chit-chatting for 2 hours. It's a lot more structured than that, and I think that structure is what provides a lot of the value, just to keep everybody from talking 80 different directions. So the forums are going to be open to everyone. There are private mastermind forums for people in the plus levels and people in the pro levels. But your mastermind call, the people on your mastermind call are actually probably going to be people that you start to get to know really well. And we actually see that as potentially an ongoing element, maybe something that's offered on a quarterly basis where people can do it once a month and sign up for 3 months in a row or something like that. So, but that's down the road. Right now we are focused on the next 6 weeks. I think that the mastermind calls will be scheduled differently for each group. And so some of those mastermind calls might last beyond the 6 weeks of the course. And we're definitely going to have to work. I think, there'll be people that, will have to work with you on getting the right time slot for you and things like that. But I'm excited about that. I'm trying to think what else I can tell you guys. We've got, so content-wise, we're going to have recorded videos that have all been pre-recorded. I've actually got a videographer on standby until she has her baby in June. but she's on standby with me to film anything that, any place when we need to step in and clarify. We're going to jump in and add video to that. We've got audio interviews that are recorded in a podcast like format that we're going to be offering. All of the content is being summarized, sort of like a podcast. So you can do a brief overview. We've got PDF handouts, workbooks. I'm trying to think what other types of content we have in there. I think that's it. I think I just ran through the whole list. Yes, Sylvia. The forums are going to be really valuable for a lot of people as well. And I do think that there are a lot of people. I mean, the majority of people that have actually purchased the course have purchased that basic level. So the forums are going to be really, really, really active. And in fact, we're already, trying to figure out how do we get moderators to help us on that. I'm really excited about the platform that we're using. Um, it's called Rainmaker, and I'll talk more about that in the course. It's a little bit different, but I've been really pleased with the stability of it. I was really nervous about doing that, but I'm really excited about how well it's working. So, and yeah, and the forums are going to be there. None of this is going away. Um, it's consistent content. The only time that the content will um, basically go back behind the screen again is when we relaunch the course. And then, of course, if you know, want to go through the content again, or I'm famous for doing one module during one course launch, and the next module during the next course launch, and just spreading it out over time. You'll be able to do that. The momentum of the launches, I think, is always fun and motivating. Another thing that we're going to do is we're gonna limit um, future seats on this. We haven't limited the seats this time just because this is our first round on this, and I'm going to be learning stuff as we go as well. But in the future, we are definitely going to cap the launch, the seat availability and launch when we figure out what the right balance is. I definitely am not. There were some people asking me in the business owners group about B School, and I'm a B School grad, love B School. Really, created some of this content to kind of fill in the holes. B School was definitely a game changer for me, and really helped me pivot at a time when I was struggling. But I am definitely not trying to be the next Marie Forleo. So I completely applaud what she does. It's absolutely amazing. Um, I want the content to be every bit as valuable, but I'm all about people matter. People are important, and I don't want this to be so big that I can't engage with people. So that's really important to me. Michelle, B School is an e-course that a gal named Marie Forleo hosts. So it's popular in creative entrepreneur world right now. I think she had about 5,000 people sign up for it this year or something. It's great. It's awesome. If you're in the Biz Designers Facebook group, which is the public Facebook group for biz designers, there's a thread in there where we were talking about it today, and a couple of people who've taken it have done some good reviews on it. So yeah, it's good. But I had one of the questions I had in the email inbox was, "Is this like B School?" And it's not. It's not. I mean, B School talks about you need a website or whatever. And, we definitely go into it saying, yeah, you need a website. We'll answer any questions that anybody has about a website. Another thing that I'm hoping to be able to do is, when you start out in business, you don't need the same resources that you need when you're at a level 5. A level 1 person just starting out has limited funds and limited resources, and they can't spend a fortune on an email software provider, email hosting provider, or even a website platform. But the resources that you need at a level 5 in business are going to be very different. And one thing I hope to help people do in the forums and just by communicating and engaging with people is help people figure out how to jump. How do you know when you need to switch from MailChimp? When do you budget for that? How do you make the switch? Are there things that you can do in MailChimp when you're just starting out and you're at the free level that are going to make a transition later on down the road easier? So I've made personally in entrepreneurship quite a few of those transitions over the years. So some of them have gone really well. Some of them have been an absolute disaster and really set my company growth back. And so I'm hoping we can talk about some of that stuff by looking at the different things that need to happen at different levels of business. So that's another aspect that I think is going to be unique about this. Dee says she felt a little bit overwhelmed in B school. It's definitely, I would say that they've done a really good job of packing a lot of value into that. I've actually referred back to my notes quite a bit. Like, I'll have an issue and I'll just go flip through it. And so I feel like they've really developed a library of resources that are really useful for people. But I realize there are people all over the board on that. Jane, will all Q&A be via forum chats? No, actually, I'm going to do a Q&A like this. I have it on my calendar for every Thursday night. We haven't actually announced it to members yet because I need to confirm a few things, but most likely we'll do it every Thursday night at some point in time. There's also going to be a way to ask preliminary questions, and all Q&A will be recorded. So if you want to submit a question, but you don't actually have time to attend the live Q&A, you can go back and watch the recording later. So I'm excited about those, and I think those will be really valuable. What will be topics that we cover at levels 4 and 5? I would say that it's not so much topics specifically as that when we get into the 7 different basic business systems, we'll be looking at how each of those systems changes. Each of those systems changes depending on what level you are in business. So someone who's at a level 1 on social media needs to do very different things than someone who's at a level 5. And we'll be building a library of resources that look at that from each of those levels. So and definitely I think another place where the level 4 and 5 folks are going to connect is in the forums. And I just think there are going to be a lot of people that I think the further you get in business, I mean, I don't know the statistic, but 90% of all small businesses fail within the first 5 years. So if you're in a 6th, 7th, or on a 10th, 12th year of the same business, it's definitely it's harder to find people that are at those levels. So I'm hoping that the folks who have found more prime, more stable levels of business will be able to engage. And actually, I think with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, everybody who's signed up for that pro level is actually at a level 4 or 5 in business. And so I think if that's where you are and that's something you're interested in, maybe think about that mastermind level. And you're welcome to shoot me a question via email. Better. Yeah, Dee, so something funny about B School that people on here might just be interested in is it's the way the course is structured. It's almost copy written, and there are definitely some good techniques in there. I've learned a lot about copywriting over the years. I don't consider myself a copywriter by any stretch of the imagination, but the more I practice it, the more I get it. And sometimes that's hard to listen to. Some people prefer it. So in the videos for biz designers, the pre-recorded videos are very structured. They're going to be, if you're an information-driven person, you're really going to like the pre-recorded videos. And then there'll be me just kind of like this on Q&A calls and videos and interviews not pre-recorded videos, but videos that we will record as we go based on questions and things like that. And you'll get, this is the Whitney, you'll get on that. So it's going to be a hybrid. I wanted biz designers to have structure to it. I felt like it was really important that it not just be me going, hey guys, we're going to have a webinar tonight. We're going to talk about this. The course that I ran last year, that's kind of what we did. And it was great, but I think the lack of structure made it really hard for the group to engage. So there's a lot of structure around this for the folks that need it. And then for the folks that don't, you'll definitely get me going, let's just jump on a webinar, which is one of my favorite things to do. I spend time with people like you guys. I'm trying to think of anything else I can tell you guys about. We did release, we did extended, we were going to close the cart last Friday, and we ended up extending it just a little bit based on lots of questions. A lot of people responded and said cost was an issue, so we released a couple different payment options. And module 1 comes out tomorrow. We'll start it and dive right in. So we've got, if you're on the email list, if you've been getting the emails, we've got an email going out tomorrow about the pricing and answering a few more questions. We've actually had a lot of people who are new to me kind of join our email list in the process of this, which has been really interesting. But in the email tomorrow, we actually answer the question, who's this Whitney English chick? So anyway, I was kind of laughing as I was writing some of that copy tonight. CD is typing. Do I ever think I'll consider doing this live? So I'll tell you something, Dee. On my calendar, I have the dates of November. Wait for it. I'm looking it up. November 5th, 6th, and 7th of this year. I have them blocked off. So, so yeah, I definitely think one of the thoughts I had after we had such a great response to this course was doing something that was for Biz Designers course members only, and just releasing a retreat to that. Probably not in OKC, but probably in Oklahoma, D. But I'm definitely all about structure. So I think it would be, maybe 10 or 20 women, good food, great cocktails, lots of business. The mastermind format that we're going to use, I really would love to use that on a retreat. And I think it would create some lifelong friendships and relationships. So yeah, if there's enough interest in that, I think we'll definitely do that. Lacey, hi, welcome. It's so nice to meet you. My other business, so my first business was a stationery company. It was a wholesale stationery company, and our primary revenue driver on that was a blank invitation product that we called an imprintable. Huge learning curve, huge experience. Definitely an interesting industry, different segments of it. That's where I met Jane, who's with us tonight. And so it was, definitely interesting. Jane and I could probably sit down and do a comparison and contrast on our businesses from back then, and it would be interesting. But what happened to that business was really 3 or 4 things. The first thing was there was a major technology shift. So when I started the business, there was no there was no Facebook, Twitter. I think barely even MySpace. Definitely no Instagram. There was no Etsy, no Shutterfly, no Tiny Prints. So because it was an invitation and stationery business, one thing that happened to us was we were hit with the technology shift from Shutterfly and Tiny Prints on one side. That took a big chunk of the market. Sort of on a more subtle level, Etsy took a much larger share with people that would do printables and stuff like that. So that was an interesting seismic shift that happened. The next thing that happened to us was the market crash of 2008, which we never fully recovered from. And the third thing that happened to us was there was a bankruptcy rollback. One of our customers filed bankruptcy. And I learned so much about this, probably more than you guys want to know on this call tonight, but it's actually legal. So long story short, this company had paid us money, and then in 90 days, like post paying us, they filed bankruptcy, and so legally they could come back to us and say, all that money we paid you prior to filing, we need it back now. And we didn't have it, so that ended up that business actually ended up filing bankruptcy as well, which is something that I've talked about on my blog and from time to time. It's kind of challenging to explain because it's a pretty murky topic, and not everybody goes through it. A lot of businesses just close and don't actually go through those proceedings. So that was very educational. I've owned other businesses in the past too. My husband and I have owned rental properties. We've owned a commercial building that was its own business. I've dabbled in lots of different service-based businesses. I did branding for a while, marketing, and have always, done consulting here and there, but never as formally as the way I'm presenting it in this business owners course now. So I hope that didn't totally bore you guys. Yeah, Michelle, you're welcome. Thanks for letting me know that helped. I was happy to dive into that. It's always hard to kind of know what people might be, wondering or asking. So definitely didn't want to go too far. Well, thank you guys so much. If nobody has any other questions, thank you so much for your time tonight. And I'll post the link here if you guys decide you want to look at the course. I'd love to have you. You're welcome to shoot us an email. The best way to get a hold of us right now is probably hello@whitneyenglish.com. My 5-year-old son's preschool graduation program is tomorrow, so I'm going to be out of pocket for that. But Adriana, shoot me an email. Shoot us an email at hello@whitneyenglish.com. Sylvia, I would just tell you, we've got some handouts and stuff. You could, definitely you could get a binder to punch the printouts and put them in, but nothing super fancy for sure. Have a good pen. Muriel, that's something that we cover in the course. You may have downloaded it recently. We covered. We did a video on it. Shoot us an email and I'll see if I can get you a link to that. We're going to take it down later on this week, but let's get you that recording tonight. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm excited to get to know those of you that are in the course, and if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to have you guys all in there. So thank you so much for your time tonight. Have a great night. Bye-bye.